Legendary radio presenter Ken Bruce, 71, announced on his show that he would be leaving BBC Radio 2 after 31 years of hosting its weekday mid-morning show. Listeners have speculated who could potentially replace the stalwart presenter, with some suggesting Scott Mills, but a replacement is yet to be confirmed. The 49-year-old left Radio 1 in August to switch over to Radio 2 and take over Steve Wright's early afternoon slot. Steve, who spent 23 years at the radio station, announced he would be stepping down from daytime radio in September when Scott announced he'd be taking over. Ken has since followed suit and announced he will now join rival station Greatest Hits Radio. "I have decided the time is right for me to move on from Radio 2, he said, adding he'd had a tremendously happy time but it was time for a change. Other popular presenters who have also left the station in the past year include Paul O'Grady and Vanessa Feltz. Following Ken's announcement, Scott has since spoken out after he received some backlash online. Taking to Twitter, the broadcaster responded to fan of the Scott Mills show who hit back at the critics. Paula tweeted, "At Scott_Mills for you, we're within a week of each other age-wise. I've listened to Radio 2 for a couple of decades now, and your show is an absolute breath of fresh air. Ignore the old farts who forget that they, and their favorites, were all in their 40s way back when." Scott replied, in view of his 1.2 million followers, writing, "Very kind message, Paula. Thank you X." Others agreed, with Rachel saying, "I love your show. We're the same age too and I've been an avid R2 listener for the last 16 years. I've enjoyed the presenter changes over the years. I will miss Ken, but because I listen on Catch Up, can catch him no matter where he is. I wish your show was longer though." Hamlet tweeted, "Yeah, I'd agree with Paula. Your show is a must-listen for me, and I loved Steve too." Lindsay added, "I love you too, Scott. Ignore the haters. Being in my 40s, Radio 1 is not my cup of tea anymore and the old Radio 2 was too old fogey for me. Now, Radio 2 is my new Radio 1, so thank you for being there. Listen to you for bloody decades. Sick." Carol Kirkwood addresses her most embarrassing gaffe. Latest Debbie McGee's home she shared with Paul Daniels is in jeopardy. Update: Liz Hurley shows off assets in plunging blazer for Cirque du Soleil pictures. The support comes after Scott received some backlash online earlier this week after listeners commented on the presenter replacing Steve last year. Lucy fumed, "It's so sad to see Ken Bruce leave Radio 2. Another legend is leaving. I don't want to keep listening to Scott Mills." David tweeted, "Dear BBC. Please don't even think of replacing the legendary Ken B with that bloke #Scott Mills who does the 2 o'clock slot at Radio 2. Unthinkable." But others came to his defense as Tom said, "Anyone who's piling on Scott Mills because they don't like his Radio 2 show needs to remember, the demographic at Radio 2 is changing. There are a whole bunch of 30-somethings moving over to the station, mainly from Radio 1. You might not like the music, but they probably do." Scott temporarily replaced Ken on his radio show back in May after the presenter was absent. He had taken some time off in the months prior to sort out a minor medical matter. Scott took to Twitter at the time and shared he will be filling in again for Ken for that week. On May 23, he wrote, "All week I'm sitting in for Ken Bruce on Radio 2 from 9:30 a.m. each day at Mimi Webb will be picking her tracks of my years just after 11:30 a.m.